This law came about of a young lady who was 11 years old named Ashley, and that's why the bill is named Ashley's Law. Ashley had to sue School District 54 to utilize the product. Ashley has battled leukemia all her life and had severe epilepsy, and with the patch that she uses has been able to act as a normal 11-year-old. So I ask and I urge the body for an aye vote and support this measure. Thank you.
Any discussion? Senator Weaver, for what purpose you rise?
A question for the sponsor, please.
Indicate she will yield.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like folks to just kind of get with me on this, because I'm going to ask questions about things I don't fully understand. I think we're dealing with something very important here. We're dealing with the question of THC and the availability of that product to students in a school setting. Now, this bill, I know what the sponsor is trying to accomplish. She's trying to deal with CBD. And by the way, Ashley, we're glad you're here today, and Ashley's parents, and you did a wonderful job testifying the other day. And the sponsor's trying to accomplish exactly what you folks need and want, and I think it's totally appropriate what she's trying to do with that. But that's the product of CBD. First one, just real quick question. CBD is typically found in an oil form, is that correct?
Senator Castro.
Yes.
Senator Weaver.
Thank you, sir. Now, you and I have had discussions about the availability of THC in various products that could be the subject of this bill. How can you give us comfort that THC...
Excuse me, Senator Weaver. Can we keep the noise down on the floor and the conversations, please? This is debate on final action. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Weaver.
Thank you. What comfort can you give us with regard to the likelihood that THC will be able to be used in the school setting, and any limitations that this bill has with regard to THC? And we understand the distinction is THC is a product that will make people high versus CBD does not.
Senator Castro.
So, Senator Weaver, yes, we've had great discussions, and I appreciate the question. Not everyone needs THC. THC is determined based on the individual. So, for example, and also it's based on the height, weight, and the severity of the condition of the specific individual requesting it. So, for example, I know someone who has a son with severe autism who uses the oils that has THC, but it's specifically geared to him. He has to be tested regularly, because obviously, I understand your concern. You don't want to have super high levels of THC either, because then you get them in the kind of a high type state, right? So this is you need 2 physicians' approvals, and it is monitored very closely. When you talk about school grounds, school administrators are not administering the product. It is a parent, as I mentioned, the parent, a guardian, or someone who's approved by the Department of Public Health.
Senator Weaver.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to just go ahead and talk to the bill for a moment, if I may.
To the bill.
Yeah. Once we start going over these lines, they're impossible to come back. And, you know, we've made a big stride with regard to medical marijuana in our state. Of course, there's talk about recreational marijuana that's coming. CBD, in my opinion, is a product that should be manufactured by pharmaceutical companies where we can have complete control. When we're getting into other things with THC and the way we're doing in our state, there's very little control over how much THC is available in products. We're now talking about THC in a school setting. And we also know that the industry behind this is very aggressive with how they sell it. We have very big concerns over how well it will be monitored. Right now, for example, what's actually being done to monitor this with regard to various levels of THC. And I'm going to personally be a no vote on this, and I would encourage other people to do the same, mainly to just pump the brakes on this issue. I think it's totally correct with regard to what you're doing with CBD. I would encourage you to keep on that. The pieces of this bill that do that, I think, are totally appropriate. I just wish we had a cleaner bill that was somehow making sure we're not now allowing THC in a school environment when we're still uncertain with the abuses that are going to happen in our state. I request no vote. Thank you.
Senator Barackman, for what purpose you rise?
Sure. To the bill.
To the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. We heard this bill in committee, and I want to commend the sponsor on her work on this piece of legislation. You know, we heard incredibly compelling testimony from a family who faces a real-world problem that any one of us as parents or decision makers in this state should accept as one of the challenges, one of the problems that we are sent here to help solve. I think the senator has put forward a reasonable solution here. I think that the family has brought forward a scenario that is a difficult one for them, but is not unique to them. Other families are facing and will face circumstances similar to this family. When I'm in my district, I talk about our principal job here is solving problems. And I think that the sponsor with this legislation has put forward a reasoned solution to a real problem facing families in our state, and would urge an aye vote for that. Thank you.
Senator Martinez, for what purpose you rise?
To the bill, Mr. President.
To the bill.
I want to commend Senator Castro on this bill, and I want to just thank the family that came down with their testimony. It was a very, very heartfelt testimony. But a few years ago, I was a sponsor of the bill of the CBD oil for children with epilepsy. And let me just say this, we went through a whole trial of just questions about CBD oil and what the THC level would be. And it's like, I think that the way Senator Castro said, it's all based on the doctor's prescription, on the weight and height of their child, and how much of that THC level should be in that CBD oil. So it's all based on that. But we have to also remember that when parents come down here to Springfield to talk about the way my constituents had come down to Chicago, I'm from Chicago to Springfield a couple years ago because they were moving to Colorado because their child had epilepsy, and the only way that they can get the CBD oil without any real problems was in Colorado. Let me just say this, that doctors that do this prescription are always making sure that the THC level is at a level that will not comatose this child or keep this child looking like a zombie or sitting there completely, incoherent. And so let's give the parents the benefit of the doubt. And there's so much has happened with the industry, with the patches that have come out now, like Ashley has is the patch, with a little bit of the THC. Again, this is a discretion of the doctors and the prescription that they are writing for these parents with children with epilepsy, children with leukemia, children who need the CBD oil and the THC. So let me just say, Senator Castro, great job, because you know what? This is an industry that is continuing to see so much changes. There are a lot of creations that are coming out of the CBD oil and making sure, but it is proven, it has been proven over and over again that children that suffer from epilepsy, children like Ashley that has this condition, where the parents have said that their child now is responding. Look at the way she is moving around and hugging her mom, and this is what we're talking about. Let's give the parents that, let them be the ones to say, I want my child to have this because it's been prescribed, and the school district should respond to that parent's need when it comes to the medical needs of their child. So, Senator Castro, good job, and I urge an aye vote on this bill.
Senator Anderson, for what purpose you rise?
To the bill, Mr. President.
To the bill.
I rise in support of the senator's legislation. As we all know, I carried a bill here just a few weeks ago that clarified in state statute that CBD oil can be bought and used for consumption if under 0.3% THC. And to this, I think we really need to focus on, especially those that are considered a no vote on this. This bill provides more regulation for a plant than we do for regulation for the same patient taking an opioid, a prescribed opioid. We have a huge opioid epidemic in our state, but yet we try to solve these problems with an alternative source that works that is a plant, but yet we provide less oversight in statute for prescribing opioids. So just everybody that's considered a no vote, keep that in the back of your mind. As a paramedic, we carry morphine in our drug bag. That's heroin is what it is, and it can be used for good. But we are literally talking about a plant that is helping people and helping this young lady in the gallery. So, Senator, I appreciate your bill, and I am proud to support it, and I urge an aye vote.
Senator McCarter, for what purpose you rise?
Question to the sponsor.
Indicate she will yield.
Senator, can you just clarify one thing for me? There's talk of the CBD and the THC. There's talk about the CBD oil with THC. In the bill, does it talk about it that way, or does it say it could be either or?
Senator Castro.
It's not in the bill. What the bill addresses is, the biggest thing it addresses is the fact that right now on state law, it's medical marijuana, the patch, the oils, any kind of the infused products are prohibited on school grounds or school buses. So it doesn't specifically answer to like levels and things like that.
Senator McCarter.
Oh, so it does not specify. So it could be CBD, it could be THC, or it could be a combination.
Senator Castro.
Senator, if you look at the Medical Cannabis Act, again, it goes back to what Senator Martinez had mentioned and what I had mentioned. Not everyone uses THC. Not everyone needs to use THC. Sometimes CBD is fine. But again, it goes back to the individual patient. The height, the weight, and the severity of the condition that patient has. They are prohibited, as a child, they're prohibited to have the flower. So that's why it's kind of hard to define it, because they have to have two physicians' prescriptions, they have to be tested regularly. I don't know if that answers your question.
Senator McCarter.
So I'll just speak to the bill.
The bill.
So the answer to the question is it could be one or the other or a combination if you revert back to the medical cannabis law. And that's the answer to the question. Thank you.
Senator Castro to close.
There's been a good, healthy debate. It is obviously a law that is needed. Back to Ashley. Ashley has now been able to live the life of an 11-year-old, and as Senator Barackman had said, we are here to solve problems. And hearing our constituents talk about these problems they're solving, they've lived this for all her life. I ask and urge an aye vote of this chamber. Thank you.
The question is, shall House Bill 4870 pass? All those in favor will vote aye. Opposed, nay. The voting is open. Have all voted who wish. Have all voted who wish. Have all voted who wish. Take the record on that question. There are 50 ayes, 2 nays, none voting present. House Bill 4870, having received the required constitutional requirement, is declared passed. Got tongue-tied. Senator Castro, for what purpose you rise?
Ladies and gentlemen of the chamber, I would like to invite Jim Surin, Maureen Surin, and Ashley Surin, whose law we just passed. Welcome to Springfield.
Welcome to Springfield and congratulations.